Welcome back to Comic Book History. This is episode number 27. Yeah, last one I did was on James Robinson's era for Marvel. This one I'm doing, going back to comic books now. This one I'm talking about one of my personal favorite comic books published by DC, though I didn't initially read these. Now, this particular comic I did read kind of toward the end of its initial run before it was concluded 6 years ago. Okay, this group is known as the Outsiders. Yeah, a group formed by Batman in the universe of DC Comics back in 1983. It was created by Mike W. Burr and the late Jim Aparo. Why I say late? Because, well, the guy passed away roughly 12 years ago. Yep, 12 years ago. And the one thing particular, basically, both Geo Aparo and Mike W. had in common is the fact both these two guys have basically been associated with Batman comic books. So, okay, kind of does make sense. So, they initially formed the group. The first chronological appearance of the team was in Batman the Outsiders #1, which was done by Mike W. Burr and Jim Aparo. Jim Aparo was the initial artist for that initial run. He was, a lot of the time, was the artist. The group did make a first appearance in the final issue of Brave and the Bold in 1983. It was, yeah, and like 1 month later, bam, we got a replacement title, Batman and the Outsiders, which initially like 5 issues took place before Batman 200 or 200. When the group first formed, Batman recruited Black Lightning, Metamorpho, who two characters who have been in the DC universe at that point for a little over a decade. Metamorpho made his first appearance in the pages of Brave and Bold. Late Bob Haney created him. And Tony Isabella created Black Lightning. Yep. Jefferson Pierce. Let's see. Yeah. The group also introduced 4 new characters who basically made the introduction in issue 200, one of whom has had 2 series since then. Well, 2 kind of series. One was an ongoing series, the other was a split book feature with Deadshot for Suicide Most Wanted. That was Katana. Yep. You have Katana, Geo-force, Halo, and Looker. Now, all these characters have since basically have appeared in the current universe. I will get to that in a minute. Alan Davis also did some artwork for the book as well. Basically, the book initially was called Batman Outside for the first 32 issues and had 2 annuals. In the second annual for the series, you have the wedding of Metamorpho and his longtime girlfriend, Star Stagg, the daughter of Simon Stagg, the guy who initially was responsible for turning Rex Mason into Metamorpho, which was a common trend for him over the years for finding a cure, which never really happened. Probably because Bob Haney didn't want to get cured anyways. It would probably get rid of the character. Yeah, so these guys were initial adventures. Like, after the first few issues, they decided to have a brief crossover with New Teen Titans. One where they found out that Geo-force is actually the woman who later betrayed the team, Tara. Basically, it's her half-brother. Yes, she's related to Geo-force, Byron Markoff, who is at this point, he was the son of the late King, who died in the opening issue of Batman the Outsiders. After issue 32, basically after a long work, basically working with the Outsiders, with issue 32, Batman quits the team, basically seemingly disbanding the Outsiders because they think, oh, the Outsiders can't survive without him, even though they can. They have proved that several times over the years. Yep. So, he leaves the team, and basically they go off on their own, and the series is renamed with issue 33 to Avengers of the Outsiders. And basically had new stories until after issue 38. Beginning issue 39 to the final issue, issue 46, it was a reprint series. But during this period of time, they launched a companion book, basically just simply titled The Outsiders, with the lineup I have on my wall. Basically, it's this book right here. With this book right here, this is basically what they started out with. And this run lasted for exactly 28 issues. And this was the initial lineup for the group. Moving forward. And originally the group was headquartered on, of all things, in an oil rig. Yeah, that an oil rig off the coast. I think it was California. That served as their base operations for most of the time, though they did eventually make up with Batman. But the book was not renamed to Batman and the Outsiders. It was still called the Outsiders Series 28. The book did also have an annual and special. Yeah, that's the thing. That each volume of Outsiders tend to have an annual, like pretty much, like except for Volume 4. Volume 4 didn't have one. Volume 1 did, so did 2 and 3. This one also had a special which crossed up with Infinity Inc. Very great crossover special where I think this took place just prior to Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah, I think so. Where they went over to Earth to fight some villains, and it was a really good crossover. How the book ended, the characters just wandered off for a bit. Metamorpho got killed off in a particular crossover, though he did later come back. Yeah. They did have one particular group of villains, the Masters of Disaster, and the Force of July, which they brought them back in Bloodhaven. Yep, these weird villains. And occasionally, oh, I almost forgot. The Batman the Outsiders book, and I think it was either that one. Let me check this. One of the Clayfaces actually made her first appearance in this particular series. It is the Lady Clayface, and she made her first appearance in issue 21. And yeah, yep, that's basically what it was. Yeah, she initially showed up in that particular book. Now, other members aside from the other members I just named, there are people like Windfall, one of the Atomic Knights, and that's just in the original volume. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty interesting lineup, and then after the initial volume ended, they just wandered about for the next several years. Yeah. They wandered about, yeah, during the event Millennium. Halo slips in a coma, and basically everyone just goes their separate ways at the Millennium. And of course, the Batman, of course, go back to the Justice League anyways. But here's kind of the weird thing. The opening issue, basically, for Batman Outsiders has this great cover, which they homage to the final issue of the series before the DC relaunch. Batman basically having the Outsiders standing right behind him, and him confronting Superman and the rest of the Justice League, saying, like, I quit, because you guys refused to help me save a friend of mine. Yeah, Lucius Fox got kidnapped in the country of what's the name of that country? Name of the country is, excuse me, Markovia. Yeah, basically that was introduced here. He got kidnapped, and he asked Justice League for help. They said no, because apparently they made a deal with the State Department and they won't get involved. So Batman quits and basically later forms the Outsiders. That's simply what happened. Yep. And then after the group disbanded in the late 80s, after basically being around for a few years, the group came back in the 90s in one of the most bizarre runs I've seen. Yeah, in the second volume of the series, which Mike Burke came back for this one, with various different artists, with Paul Pitter and Casey Jones. I have met Casey Jones. Nice guy. I got him an autograph and issue of Birds of Prey. The guy is a really damn good artist. But this run was so bizarre. Like, the thing starts off where apparently where a group of vampires takes over Geo-force's country, and he's declared an enemy of the state, so he has to reform the Outsiders with these following people. Yeah. So, basically, he reunites basically with, let's see, the people who initially joined this particular roster. We have the son of Felix Faust, Terracote, Wide, I think that's the guy's name. Superman recurring character The Eradicator before he got killed out by Doomsday in 2011. And Davish. Yep, these are the people who joined the Outsiders during Volume 2. They were later also joined by the Second Doctor of Light and Terra during the Hours of War and Days of Judgment, respectively. Eventually, the group they did sort of split for a bit. They came back together for Phoenix Faust. It's kind of a somewhat of a forgettable volume. It's not bad per se. It's just bizarre. It's the 90s, and plus the first issue was split like Alpha and Omega for some reason. I have no idea why that someone at DC thought this was a good idea. And this run initially lasted for 28 issues. This will last for 24. Excuse me. And had like one annual. It's an odd run. Heck, they even had an issue where they countered the Azrael Batman for some reason. Yeah, they had that. Batman himself showed up in this volume a couple times, like the actual Batman. Yeah. After the group disbanded, after the series ended, the series sort of lay dormant for several years, and then in 2003, after the awful Titan/Young Justice graduation day, we had the Judd Winick run of The Outsiders. A run that lasted for 50 issues, and Winick himself wrote all but 3 issues. There were 3 issues in it, right? He wrote issues 27, 28, because that was a two-part called TikTok, and it had nothing to do with much of that run anyways. And the final issue, which led into the relaunch. This run was one of the most bizarre, not as odd as Volume 2, but this one has the most weirdest ideas I've ever seen, where you have the characters casually having sex with each other, or one issue where the Fatal Five are banging each other near a prison for no reason at all. I'm not kidding. All 5 Fatal Five members banging each other for no reason. And we also had an interesting story where they team up with John Walsh from America's Most Wanted. I thought that was bizarre. Yeah. And some initial people, now the group itself consists of basically people who had basically part of the Titans group. Basically an Arsenal, Nightwing, Starfire joined a little later on. Yeah, this one had the most interesting layout, and some people really enjoy some of the characters who show up in this run. In the first issue alone, we had Arsenal, Grace, who was later out to be a lesbian, and Wanda the Bana, Indigo, who was basically revealed to be a traitor, Shift, a clone of Metamorpho, Thunder, the daughter of a founding member Black Lightning, not a bad idea, Nightwing, and Jade, daughter of one of the founding members of the JSA of Alan Scott Green Lantern. Yep. And then later on they also had the Helen Bertani Huntress, Starfire, Captain Marvel Jr., and the second Captain Boomerang, Owen Mercer, joined the team. Quite an interesting roster, to say the least. The group themselves did have 2 crossovers in this period of time. One, of course, was a crossover between Teen Titans and The Outsiders, where it was called The Insiders, revealed that there was a possible traitor that was Shift. Turns out it was actually Indigo, and she got killed off about 25 issues in. And then, for some reason, they decided the characters didn't. And then here's kind of the weird thing. After the first couple of years of the group, after their initial headquarters, their original was a bunker. Yeah, after the first headquarters was destroyed, well, the only headquarters they had, for some strange reason, they decided not to have base operations for the rest of the run, for no reason at all. Also, several characters abruptly left the group with no explanation. Like, Starfire apparently left the group after being part of the group since issue 16. I think that was when she joined the group. Was it 15 or 16? She joined the group in issue, 16. Yep. Joins issue 16, leaves after pretty much the 1-year jump, and the Outsiders become basically an underground group. Yeah, because of some dumb some superhuman treaty that basically the war government had to sign for some, the UN had to sign for some strange reason. Yeah. Initially, the Outsiders just come together whenever they feel like it, and during the last year of the book, basically, Joe Winick decided to do one of the most interesting things he did with the book. Basically, he put Grace and Thunder in a lesbian relationship, which I thought was an interesting idea, and plus, it's something that's kind of accepted, and, now in the case of Grace, it was hinted that she was lesbian throughout most of this whole run. Thunder, not really that much, but I was fine with it. And then basically after a really good crossover with Checkmate, which Checkmate at that time was written by Greg Rucka, it came back the previous year. I will do a video, my next episode I'm going to do on Checkmate, which is an awesome series. So after that crossover wrapped up, which had one of the most bizarre things happen during the crossover. Basically, the main villain of the crossover was an old Wonder Woman villain. Yeah, an old a racist villain who basically was a rip, who calls like Dr. Young, basically who was a giant egg, and this guy was the main villain of the story. And during the course of the story, uh, Captain Boomerang and Sasha Beatrix of Checkmate, who was previously Bruce Wayne's bodyguard and slash basically his sort of girlfriend. This was after the events of Bruce Wayne Fugitive, where she joined Checkmate. Yeah, for some strange reason, he had a very strange fetish. So what did he do after he captured these two? He stripped them both butt naked and strapped them to tables and did experiments on them. In the case of Sasha Beatrix, because she was partially an OMAC. I'm not kidding. That's what they did with her in the book. And then after the crossover was up with, Nightwing left the group and handed the group back over to Batman. And he decided to have the group basically fight for their spots. In this series of one-shots called Five of a Kind, which basically, even in story, this was one of the most bizarre things they ever did. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's basically what they did. Here were the initial one-shots that came out. Let's see if I can find them here. We had one-shots like Nightwing and Captain Boomerang. There was one with the second Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Katana. Yeah, Katana actually eventually rejoined the group. Let's see. Thunder, who basically lost the thing. She was now Grace basically was very happy. She was still part of the Outsiders. She was not very happy with Batman for not allowing her girlfriend on the team. So basically, on their first mission after this crossover, after this 5-part thing was over with, yeah, pretty much, she brought her on the mission and said Batman, okay, screw you, and she's on the team because I said so. And Batman, and basically didn't have a really big problem with it at all. Well, looks like I have to put this on hold because I gotta go. So there'll be a part 2 of this later, okay? So, I'll see you all later. Bye.